When I was way back at the beginning of this entrepreneurial journey, I was invited to share my story. There were all sorts of things that came up: fear, worries, blockers that stopped me from doing it. And I know that that's something that's really common for maybe people like you too. So in this video, I'm going to share 4 reasons that might be holding you back from sharing your story, and why it's really important to override those, because sharing your story is one of the most profound, important, connected things you can do. If you are someone who's been through something, is now helping others, if you have something to share that could inspire someone else, if you run a business and you need to share your origin story of how you got here, or just because you know that it's something that's really important to do. So let's get started, because I'm on the village green and I need to be quick. Reason 1, the vulnerability hangover and fear of, well, do you know what? I had a vulnerability hangover when I stood on the TEDx stage and I shared my story in front of 1,500 people. The day after, I had a hangover. It felt like I'd exposed too much, I'd shared too much, and I had said too much, and that I was now feeling guilty or embarrassed about the fact that I'd been so personal in what I was sharing. And a lot of people get this. A lot of people have a fear of being exposed because of sharing something personal that other people didn't know, that they may have certain feelings about them because of that. And the fact that I had that hangover didn't stop me from moving forward. And actually, sharing the story was one of the most important things I did. It was worth it for that small hangover, just like when you go out, when you go drinking. I don't do that anymore because I've stopped drinking. Is it worth it for the hangover? And some people will say no, but it definitely is in terms of sharing your story. And if you have any doubts about this, I would look up Brené Brown and her TED Talk, The Power of Vulnerability. It's one of the most famous TED Talks out there, and she talks about this a lot. She says that actually courage is an antidote to shame. So having the courage to share the story means that you can negate those feelings of shame because you're being courageous in sharing your story. So if you've got fear of vulnerability hangover, it's understandable, but it's worth it for sharing your story. Number 2, amplifying that one critic. You know, that one person who you think would have a problem with you sharing your story? There's probably maybe one, it could be 2. And this person is overriding everything else and everybody else in your mind's eye into thinking that it's not worth sharing the story because of that one person. So that one person now amalgamates into a whole group of people, and you think because of that one person you shouldn't share your story because of what they think or feel. Now, what I will say about this is, if it is someone important, then you can have a clearing conversation with them and you can say, I'm going to be sharing my story, and that's what I'm going to be doing. You don't have to ask for permission, but you can, just out of courtesy, let people know. Or maybe it doesn't matter what that person thinks, really and truly, because how you can help many, many other people, potentially millions of other people, by sharing your story. Does it matter if one person really doesn't like it? I don't think so. I think that sharing the story is so much more powerful than not sharing it because of one person. But that one person can rear up and it can feel huge and massive. So I completely understand why it might prevent you from sharing your story, but don't let it. Number 3, fear of being self-centered. Me. It's all about me. I don't want to share my story because it's just about me, and I don't want to come across like I'm blowing my own trumpet. Well, actually, it's not about you. This story isn't about you. It's about the message that you have to share and the people that you want to help. So a reframe here, a really important reframe, is rather than thinking it's about you, think it's about the message. Because you're not just sharing your story for the sake of sharing it because it's kind of nice to. You're sharing it because there's a purpose to it. You're sharing it because it's important to share, because you've got something to say and that can help people. So rather than thinking about you and the story you're sharing and then it's your story, think about the message that you want to share. And that's really, really important. It's so important in the bigger scheme of things. And also it can help you take the focus away from yourself. Even though you are sharing it and it is about you, it's not about you. I had a saying in one of my keynotes was, It's not about you, but it's all about you. So move yourself out of the way so your message can be delivered. And I still stand true to that. If you're fearing sharing your story, think that I'm going to move myself out of the way so that other people can benefit. And finally, number four. Number four is the fear of pressure of living up to expectation. So what happens once you've shared your story? You've now got to live up to some sort of expectation. You've now got to be perfect all the time. You can't falter or fail. Well, you're a human being. I've had many situations like this throughout my journey. I've had the ups, the downs, and you share those. You share those, and you share the journey. You're going to evolve. You're always going to be continually evolving and moving forward, and your story will evolve too. So when you feel like it might be shifting, that's the time to evolve your story and to update your story. You don't need to worry about being perfect, because it's expected that everybody has struggles. It's expected that everybody's human. What you can do is make it purposeful. So rather than sharing the cranky bits just for the sake of sharing the cranky bits, it's about sharing them with purpose after you have been through that period. But it's important to continuously evolve your story so that you don't think, oh, I told that story now, that's the only story and I need to live up to that. Also, the audience doesn't expect perfection. Why would they? You know, the reason why you're sharing your story is to connect on a real human level where AI can't, or where other methods can't. That's the whole point of sharing your story. And so if an audience expects perfection, I think that would be, it's few and far between. It's very, very rare. So hopefully sharing those 4 things has helped you to understand that you can share your story, and it is really important despite these feelings that you might have. And if you need help, I'm here. I've got a special offer on at the moment. It's a Write Your Origin Story Intensive. It's happening over the summer. I've got selected spaces available. I can help you write your origin story in 2 hours and help you get over the mindset monkeys that might be getting in your way of sharing it. So you get 2 hours with me in person in Brighton or online, and you get 2 weeks follow-up support where I can help you uncover those blockers and get yourself out there with a strategy for visibility. So get in touch through the usual means, through my website, hello@helenpackham.com, through my email, hello@helenpackham.com, or in the comments of this video where you'll see all the information you need. Let me know what you think about this. What are your views? What are your thoughts? I'd love to know.